Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of our In Conversation With series, where we talk to various University of Cumbria alumni about what they've been up to after they've graduated and how they're getting on in their careers. So today we'll be talking to Kimberley Boak, who is a journalism graduate. After graduating from the university, Kimberley worked at BBC Radio Cumbria, first as a broadcast assistant and then as an on-air reporter before moving to work at BBC Breakfast in London as a broadcast journalist. Since then, Kimberley has worked on TV shows including Blue Peter, BBC Sport, Would I Lie to You and Sam and Mark's Big Friday Wind-Up. Kimberley is now based at Media City in Manchester, working at BBC Bitesize as a producer and presenter. Kimberley, thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us.
Oh no, thank you so much for having us. It's lovely to be back and doing something for University of Cumbria.
Excellent. We're very pleased that you're back. So did you always want to work in journalism?
Yeah, pretty much. I was quite lucky in the sense that I did know what I wanted to do probably about midway through secondary school. And then I just started doing everything I could to try and get to where I wanted to be. So I actually did my A-levels at what was the Brampton Road campus when it was like the art college. So I left school at 16, went up there, and did like media, communication studies, performing art and English language and literature, and I absolutely loved it. And that's how I found out about the journalism degree. And it just made sense. I'm from Carlisle, proud to be from Cumbria, and it made sense to stay at home. You know, I just sort of got my foot in the door at BBC Radio Cumbria at the time, and I just thought, well, let's just see how far I can take it while I'm at home. I know the area, and just try and get the word out that I wanted to do that job in my local hometown, really.
Excellent. Yeah. So it sounds like you had a really clear kind of focus there right from the get-go.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I always knew that I definitely wanted to do kind of broadcast media. I did do print and I did my NCTJs as well, but it was always broadcast for me. I just love live broadcasting, like I absolutely geek out on it. It's just, I think it's the element of jeopardy. Anything can go wrong at any time, but it's so exciting. And yeah, I'm just in my element when I do things like that. So I definitely had that clear focus throughout that was where I wanted to go and that was what I wanted to do as a career.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really interesting. So could you tell us a little bit more about your career journey so far and how you found out about kind of broadcast journaling and broadcast media? Was that something that happened alongside your course while you were studying?
Yeah, it was the course really because I didn't have any family or friends in the industry. I didn't know how on earth to go about doing it really. And to begin with, I'd applied for a BBC scheme called BBC Blast when I was 18. And it was basically for young budding sport reporters. And I used to be a swimmer and a footballer. And I saw this, it was advertised on Radio Cumbria. I was listening to the Carlisle United match at the time. And I applied for it and I got it. And I couldn't believe that, you know, I could get to go to the BBC. So I did that all summer leading up to my journalism degree. And then I just did the classic thing of did not go away after that. Like I knew that I had an in. I started the course in journalism at University of Cumbria, and I knew then, like my course leaders were saying, keep those contacts, make sure you're keeping in with them, do anything you can. And I very much offered to make all the cups of tea, just tried to make myself as indispensable as possible. And then eventually I started doing, I was called Competition Kimberley on the Radio Cumbria Friday night sports show. So that was my little Friday night gig, but what a good experience to get used to broadcasting in a live environment and, you know, getting used to bouncing off with the presenters. And then that was all unpaid. I absolutely loved it. And then finally I got on the payroll as a broadcast assistant, as you said earlier, and just, you know, answering the phones, making the cups of tea for the presenters, running scripts through, anything I could do to just be as useful as possible. So I did that the whole time I was doing my journalism degree, assisted on location, live broadcasts and things like that. And then once I graduated from University at Cumbria, I took on more and more shifts at Radio Cumbria, gradually got into the newsroom, and then I was on air reporting then, which I lived for. I absolutely loved it. Even, you know, we all know what Cumbria is like. I was going up the Lake District. I got stuck in a radio car at one time. I had some right adventures, but it was absolutely brilliant and such a great learning ground, I think, because in local TV and radio you can be more hands-on and you get more opportunities, whereas when I've then moved on to BBC Breakfast in London, that was a big level up and a real change for me. But that was how I crossed into telly, so that was, yeah, a big moment for us. But Cumbria played a massive part in us getting to where I am now.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, and I think maybe good advice there for some of our students and graduates who are looking to kind of go into that area, really thinking about, local opportunities and volunteering. So yeah, that's really good to hear. So you're currently working on BBC Bite Size as a producer and presenter. What do you find rewarding about your current role, and perhaps maybe challenging as well?
Well, currently, Bite Size, obviously, last year with COVID and everything that happened there, Bite Size just became the centre of everything. We'd always obviously been around at the BBC. I mean, I used it when I was at school, but it suddenly was more needed than ever because of all the schools and lockdown. And what was so rewarding was creating content that children and young people were using in the day-to-day lives. I ended up posting a series of Instagram lives on the BBC Bite Size channel, which was the most exciting and terrifying thing at the same time because I was doing it from home in my slippers and it's just
Wow.
the weirdest thing. Like it was just so strange because, normally if you're broadcasting, you've got a team of people around, if something goes down, there's a techie that can come in and help. I had a little tripod that I got off Amazon. I had a phone and I just had to go live on the BBC account. Honestly, my hands were shaking, but it was brilliant. And I was so proud of that. And it was something that we just came up with on the team. So I'd say, in terms of what's rewarding at the minute, it's coming up with the ideas that then make it to on air. There's nothing better than sitting on your couch at home and thinking, oh, I wonder if that'd work. And then it ends up on telly or it ends up on our social or digital platforms. It's just really, really rewarding. And then to hear, oh, my kids use that, or just someone coming up to you saying that they've seen what you've done, it never gets boring for me. I love that. So I'd say that's super rewarding. What's challenging is the hours. It is long days and nights and evenings and weekends. And I think I always was a grafter and I always knew this industry would be tough, but I think I possibly wasn't prepared for how much you take it home with you, because I think in this sort of industry, to last, you've got to really care about what you do. Because it's such long days and nights, you need that kind of passion to keep you going. And I don't think I'd realised how much I would bring home with me. You're at home in a night and you think, oh, should I be checking my emails, or should I have replied back to that, or what about this? It's definitely quite hard to switch off, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. So I suppose that leads quite nicely on to my next question then, and whether you think there are any specific qualities or attributes that can help people to succeed in TV and media. It sounds like there maybe having a passion and being prepared to, as you say, graft and put the work in would be useful.
Yeah, 100%. Passion and graft, as you say. And I think, the biggest thing I would say is be nice, because my goodness, when you start out in this industry, there's so much, as you can imagine, it's very competitive. I'm not sure I knew fully what I was getting into when I was sort of just graduated. And the best advice I can say is be nice and be a grafter, because I work as a producer now as well, and I hire a team, and you want to make sure that people on your team are going to be team players, that you can leave them with contributors and that they're going to be all right, chatting to them. They can talk to agents. There is nothing more terrifying than someone coming in and then being a bit of a loose cannon, and you think, oh my goodness, everything is, you've got to be the face of the organisation and wherever you work, I think. So definitely be nice, because the people that have longevity in this industry are the ones that get on with everyone. That's huge. And then, as we've touched on, hard work is key. You've got to be prepared to do the extra hours, go the extra mile. I think half the reason I got away when I did at BBC Radio Cumbria was because I'd do anything, whether it was opening up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning to being the last one there on a Friday night, to running around making cups of teas. I'd be out in the pouring down rain, but people then know, or you can rely on them. So I think having that reliability about you is absolutely key as well.
Definitely, yeah. And so I think I'm kind of getting the impression that things are really varied for you, and there maybe isn't a typical work day. But are there any kind of typical like activities or things that you do on a day-to-day basis, or is it really just about variety for you?
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head there. There really isn't a stereotypical day, which is what I love. Like, how exciting to not know what you're going into. Like, sometimes you'll come into work and you'll literally be told, right, you've got to go to London tonight. No warning. It doesn't matter if you're meeting friends at the pub that night. You have got to get your things and you've got to go. But day-to-day kind of roles can include carrying out interviews with people, which I love. You get to chat to all kinds of interesting people. We have a lot of ideas meetings, so you're always expected to come up with ideas, and that's actually another good attribute, is being proactive, coming up with ideas before you've been asked. One top tip would be send ideas in an email to managers, to producers, because they'll love that. Like, if you're showing yourself to be proactive. So we have a lot of ideas meetings and brainstorms, and then it can be writing scripts. We go into a lot of edit suites and things like that, which I just love. It's being creative, isn't it? It's getting to bring your ideas to life. So that's sort of the typical day-to-day roles. And obviously at the minute, there's a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of Microsoft Teams meetings, but hopefully we'll be back in the workplace and they're not too distant, and we can all, sit around a table and have a proper chat.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Oh, that's so interesting. It sounds, really varied and really exciting. And I think, as you say, having that chance to be creative is really great, isn't it? That's brilliant.
Yeah. I think it's just, if you are getting into the creative industries, there's a lot of people at University of Cumbria do. Oh, there's just nothing better than, writing up ideas and getting to go on the road with a team. Like, when you get to the point where you're ready to go out, like, I always loved everyone piling into a car and you go on location to some random town in England that you've never been to before, or across the UK, and then bringing that idea to life and, just pulling together as a team. It's cracking. Yeah, nothing better.
Yeah, it sounds like it, especially with, as you say, travel, which hopefully, we'll be able to start doing a bit more of soon. So,
yes,
yeah.
it's crossed.
So what would you say to someone who's unsure about their career path? Maybe we've got some students who are graduating soon listening, and perhaps they have a degree in something TV and media related, or perhaps not related, and they're not sure about what they want to do after university. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say follow your passion, because that is the one thing that you can keep going at. If you find something that you really love, like, figure out what is that thing that brings you to life. It might be watching football. Okay, so do you want to be a football journalist? Or it might be that you absolutely love music and you live and breathe that. It's finding that thing that you care about that really gets you going. And I think that is the way to find out what it is that you want to do, because, as I've said earlier, it's in this kind of industry, you will work every which hour. So if it's something that you love, you're way more likely to stick at it and to enjoy it. And I think that's how you get your USP as well. It's how you stand out. Like, when I first started, as I said earlier, I was sort of a swimmer and a footballer. And that really helped when I had the interview at Radio Cumbria, because they knew that I really cared about what it was that I was doing. So find that thing that really gets you going, and work on that. That would be my main advice.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's really good advice. And maybe thinking a little bit more specifically then, if we were talking to journalism and media graduates and they're wanting to apply for jobs in the industry, what type of advice would you give to them?
So if you're going to go for those kind of jobs, and if you're at the stage where you're kind of blanket emailing, best advice I can give is do your research. It's obvious, obviously, in this kind of industry and the degrees that you've done. But if you're going to email, say, a person who's the editor at a local radio station, find out who they are, find out a bit about them, and make sure you tailor every email accordingly. Because you've got to think, all of these people get emails all the time from people. And if you just get generic, standard emails, why would they take you? You've got to think, what makes you stand out? So really sell yourself at the start. But also, hey, I've been looking into you and I know that you like X, Y, and Z. That will make all the difference. And you're more likely to have someone say, do you want to come in and shadow off the back of that? Whereas if you just send kind of generic emails, I think they just get completely lost in translation. So really, really do your research and go after areas that you're really into, so that you can show that you've got that passion. But I think it comes up time and time again where people that I speak to just get bombarded with the same old sort of things. So you really need to be trying to find a way to make yourself stand out. And also, people like being flattered. So I think, honestly, if you go in with a bit of a, oh, I saw this report that you did and that was absolutely cracking, honestly, it makes the world a difference, because I think human beings obviously like to know that people have taken an interest in what it is that they've done. So that would be my top advice. Just really, a bit of flattery, do your research, and make sure you're making yourself stand out.
Excellent. Yeah, so preparation is key then.
100%. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. I love that saying.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? So true. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Kimberley, for joining us. I'm sure this will be really useful for our class of 2021.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having us. It's been lovely.
Thank you.